All right, guys, Zach here. Thanks for joining us. Got Daniel, Preston with me. Appreciate y'all for coming into Austin for the day. Daniel, congrats. You just got engaged.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's awesome. I was telling your fiance that congrats to you, and then for her, buckle up.
Yeah.
And we'll say some prayers for her. So
we need to pray for her.
we do. Sure. Yep. Preston, thanks for coming in, man, from DC area. So we'll jump in and talk about some IUL stuff about what you guys are doing in the business. But like quick, Preston, you've been in insurance for, you said 2 years now?
About 3 years.
About 3 years.
Over 3 years.
Okay. And you were doing, you worked for the government before.
I did.
What was your previous job in life?
I was an investigator for the Inspector General of the Air Force.
Okay.
A lot of fun.
What were you investigating? Like, what was the typical?
Typically speaking, we investigated generals behaving badly.
Oh, really?
So if we had 1 stars to 4 stars not doing the right thing, we'd investigate them for substantiated cases. If 9 times out of 10 they got in trouble, they lost a star.
Got it. So you'd have to do something really bad to get kicked out of the military or to be demoted from a general.
Absolutely.
Got it. That's cool. How long did you do that for?
I did that for 4 years. Because I retired first from active duty first.
Okay.
Then I came back as a civilian and did that. And it was okay. It paid the bills.
Yeah.
It was interesting work, but then I got kind of monotonous.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try something different.
Yeah, it's probably not as exciting as it sounds, right? Like I'm thinking like there's like big, like crazy fraudulent, like someone selling missiles to Russia or something. Like that's where my brain goes. But it's probably just like more minor and like paperwork stuff.
More minor stuff like infidelity and professional behavior, things like that. Misuse of appropriated funds, things like that.
Cool. Yeah, so not like the widespread like fraud starting World War III or anything like that. Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Nothing like
cool.
that. Nothing like that.
And so you were active duty for 20 years before that, or
22 years.
22 years. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Air Force.
Yes, sir.
Got it. That's cool. I heard Air Force is the best branch of the military to be in. It's the best like quality of life and.
It's the best everything.
Yeah.
It's
my friend Calvin.
Color.
Yeah, Calvin, who was in the Army, told me that he told his little brother to go in the Air Force because it's the best.
It is. Yeah. It is. More money goes to the Air Force. It's just how it is. The Defense Appropriations Committee does all of that. And for whatever reason, we find ourselves getting the chunk of the money.
Yeah.
So a lot of quality of life initiatives and things like that go towards the Air Force because we're the executive branch of the different services.
Yeah.
So they love us.
That's awesome. Awesome, man. Well, thanks again for your service.
Absolutely.
And then Daniel, how long have you been in insurance for now total?
Oh, dude. 2017, 2018?
Like so almost 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And you've done, before that, what were you doing most recently before you did insurance?
It was working at a cell phone company.
Got it.
As a manager over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've done a bit of you do some preaching, you do a little bit of everything now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Done a lot of stuff with church, worship leader over there.
Yeah.
And done some stuff with the youth. So really whatever they need, I kind of help out with.
So how much time do you spend a week doing stuff with the church now?
Now it's backed off a little bit now, which is cool, right?
Yeah.
But it used to be like a part-time job, man.
Yeah.
Every bit of like 15, 20 hours a week, something like that.
Got it.
It was dope. So
and you've been in insurance for this is 8 years for me, 7 years for you. So you've been in insurance for a long time.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of changes go from like we did direct mail when we were new.
Yeah.
Where and I think when I explain to people now, it sounds like a foreign concept to people. And even me, like on my kitchen table, there's a stack of mail. And the only time I opened the mail was that there was a check I knew that was coming from a property I sold. They had to mail it to me. Yeah. And I went through all the other mail to find that one and then left it all there. Yeah. My wife's like, shouldn't you open this stuff? I'm like, I think if it was important, they'd email it to me.
Yeah.
So like even thinking back to when in 2017, we were doing all direct mail. Preston's like, you guys are idiots. You should open your mail. But but I just turned 30. I'm like, our generation doesn't open mail, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
But we used to do all of our advertising via mail. We sold, final expense, mortgage protection, term, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then it's changed a lot now where, internet marketing, YouTube, Facebook, AI helping with a lot of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd love your thoughts on what the biggest changes have been in the industry in the last 7 years to transition from you to selling, final expense, now IUL, and like how's that impacted your business?
I mean, the biggest change that obviously we went through is COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want to blame it all on that or say everything is because of that or whatever, but it helped our industry a lot. Not to, it was a horrible thing that happened, right? But it allowed us to be able to talk to more people in a more efficient manner because it made the in-person, face-to-face type of style that we were using borderline archaic.
Yeah.
Right? Like it allowed us to be able to really, keep other people safe, of course, but get them the products that they need from a safe manner. And the carriers were really great with jumping on board and making everything efficient for us to be able to do that as well. But now, ever since then, every single appointment that I do now is on Zoom. So I think the first, or it was actually the last in-person appointment that I ran was just for a local buddy. He invited me over to his house, and I'm like, man, I haven't done this in like 4 years. This is crazy. So
sit knee to knee with someone. And,
but yeah, I think that was the biggest change, is having everything go virtual and really utilizing the different skills from social media marketing and AI as well. Yeah, it's been unreal, dude. Like I ended up taking another course just to figure out how to market to different people on Facebook and Instagram and whatever, just to get the right message across, to attract the right people. Just have them coming to me now instead of fishing for mailers. Now everything's done online. So I mean, cost per lead went down from what, $100 per lead?
Yeah, we were paying $80 a lead. Yeah, at one point,
to now it's like what, $9-10 a lead online, something like that. Yeah. So I mean, the industry's changed so much, and I think the best thing we could have done is just be fluid throughout the whole thing and just continue to move and just grow with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think what's happened now, what I've realized is like this is the best. There's a lot of good things you can do in sales. Yeah. I think it's a great skill to have. There's a lot of money to be made in sales in general. Yeah. And I think they used to be kind of all the same. Like you could do solar sales, pest control, car sales. Like you could make insurance sales. You could make pretty decent money in all of them. Oh yeah. You can make a lot of money in all of them too if you're really good at it, or if you're one of the top businesses in there. Yeah. But what I realize now that we've transitioned to virtual is like whether people are doing solar sales, car, like whatever types of sales they're doing, like our vehicle is better now because of how scalable it is, and it doesn't depend on the market. Like market goes up, down, sideways, doesn't matter. The economy doesn't matter. We just shift what kind of insurance we're selling. Yeah. So you've been doing mostly IULs now. I think one of the things I've learned recently when recruiting people is that they care a lot about making money. They care about spending time with their families, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But they also care a lot about the product they sell, and they want to make sure it's good for the consumer and they feel good about it. Yeah. Like I was talking to a guy the other day that said he had a big team. They had like 200 agents that were doing solar sales, and they're transitioning to insurance. And he's like, I like generally like the idea of solar. I don't like the industry because you can kind of set your own price. You can do some things that are shady that you kind of have to do to make money there. Yeah. Why do you IUL product? Why do you like that so much? And why do you feel so passionately about that? That's something that most people should have if they can have it.
Yeah, it's a great question, man. And I had to do a lot of extensive research. Like, I mean, you know this too. Like, I had to do so much research at the very beginning on this just because nobody knew about it, right? It was me and 2 other guys that were trying to tackle this thing on. And I think some of us just got to a spot to we were just sick and tired of being sick and tired of what we were doing. We knew there was something more. And we started doing some extra research on what this IUL does. And you hear different people on social media talking about infinite banking, becoming your own bank, all this other stuff. And there's so many strategies out there that once you start taking a deep dive into it, you're like, okay, so wait a minute, how do I do that? I saw a video of somebody talking about it on social media, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. How do I set one of those up? They said, oh, you got to talk to an insurance agent. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm an insurance agent. But I don't know how to do this. So I identified like a flaw where I was, right? And I'm like, okay, so if they can do this with the exact same license that I have, why don't I just learn how to do this and set one up for myself? Yeah. So it took tons of trial and error just to figure out how to get this thing going. And it was really just asking the right questions to the right people. Yeah. Like calling the different carriers, and I'm like, hey, do you guys offer this? Like, yeah. Can I get that? Yeah. Okay. Well, how does this work? They walked me through it, and then I noticed there wasn't a lot of reach on social media for it at the time. So I just said, you know what? I'll just make my own videos on it. And if I suck, I suck. But if it's good, it's good. And I just tried to figure it out, stumbled through it, and then before you know it, a couple of my videos went viral. I had one that hit. My first video on TikTok hit 1.2 million. My calendar was booked up for the rest of that week from organic traffic. And I'm like, what is going on? The next one on Instagram hit like 6.4. And then another one on Instagram hit over 10 million views. And I'm like, this is kind of cool. Yeah. So working the social media algorithms, and now I'm like, okay, now I have all these clients. Now I have to figure out how to sell this product. Right. I mean, I sucked at first, but every single time I wrote a policy, I was calling the carriers every single day to say, okay, what does this mean? Did I set this up right? How do I do this? I would call them, like they probably have my number on speed dial now.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know Devin at the time, but I'm sure he probably knew about me. I don't
Yeah.
know, right?
Yeah, because you're calling them all not.
Yeah.
If you were in an elevator with someone for like 30 seconds and they're like, hey, I saw you on your video. Can you explain IUL to me before we get off? Like, how would you explain it like quick?
It's the best financial Swiss Army knife that nobody knows about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just enough to create a little bit of experience or a little bit of a question to let me like tell you a little bit more about how it does, what it does, and why.
So it's like, okay, so what does that mean? It's the best Swiss Army knife.
I mean, nobody likes losing money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like losing money?
No,
So why wouldn't you put your vehicle or put your money in a vehicle where you never have to lose?
I would. I didn't know about that.
Do you like spending the same dollar twice?
No.
You
Yes,
don't like you
I
do
do.
like spending
Yes,
the same
I
dollar
like
twice?
spending. Yeah.
And what I mean by
Yeah.
spend the same dollar twice is you'll gain interest in two different places off the same dollar, like the bank does, right? Like you want to operate like the bank, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let me show you how to do it.
Got it.
And you don't have to have the same type of money that you have with the bank. You just start off where you're at, and the conversation just flows from there.
Yeah.
And then my favorite conversations with clients is whenever they start to see light bulbs go off. You know, like they have that look where they're like, oh, this is how this works. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you know, you just break it down to them on the illustration, show them how it works, and give them rough ideas as to how things can do it, and or how the policies can actually do it with different strategies that you're using. And I found that the simpler you make the product concept, the more empowered you make the client feel, the easier it is to get them into the product.
Yeah, I mean, being able to explain complicated things in a simple way is how you can sell a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you don't make people feel dumb. Like I come from a family of doctors, right? And and the one thing I think that industry does terrible is like you can come in and they're like, you should take this medicine for this crazy sounding disease.
Yeah.
And like you take it because I said you should take it,
Yeah.
you know? And I remember always talking to my dad about that, and he's really good about it. He's like, no, hey, you have high blood pressure. That's what this means. This is what will happen if you don't take this medicine. And I remember, like, I learned sales at the beginning from him because I was like, how do you get people to take medicine and stop smoking and stuff? And he's like, I always ask him, like, hey, you're, like, this is for you. Like, so like, you're obviously in really good shape. But he said if like, he had someone who's your age and you have an 18-year-old daughter, right? He'd go, okay, hey, you smoke a pack a day. You eat McDonald's every day. You drink a big gulp full of Coke, and your arteries are all clogged up. You have diabetes and high blood pressure. Your daughter's 18. When she's 30 and she's going to get married, do you want to walk her down the aisle, or do you want some other dude to walk her down the aisle?
Someone's going to do it at that rate.
Yeah.
It's not going to be
Do you want to watching down from heaven, watch some other dude walk your daughter down the aisle?
Absolutely.
Then can you stop smoking cigarettes?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like that. But that was like, I remember when I was a kid, and I learned to do that kind of in sales, to be direct with people like that.
Yeah.
And it was a stupid side story, but like that was my dad said he always, like, that's how I got people to stop smoking and stop doing these other things. I gave them like a very real example.
Wow.
And especially if they had like a daughter or something, I'd be like, you want to walk her down the aisle, right?
Yeah.
You better hey, you decide, you want to smoke that pack of cigarettes or walk your daughter down the aisle? Because every time you smoke,
Yeah.
you know, so.
It's crazy. Like, well, especially when you're talking about people's money too.
Yeah.
Like whenever you're talking about a product that allows your money to grow and build over time, do what you want it to do, meaning having flexibility to be able to grow and build, but you still have checkbook liquid access to the cash whenever you want it or need it with no penalties and no restrictions. It's like, okay, cool. What is that product? Oh, it's insurance. Yeah. Everybody loves what the IUL does, but nobody likes it whenever it's called insurance.
Right.
So whenever you start selling the income side of it and start really painting the picture, that's when you really start selling the IUL. And I'm not talking about over-promising and under-delivering by any means. That's not what we do, right? But whenever I worked at a gym and I was like the manager at a gym, it was our manager told us that it was the hardest sales you'll ever do because people are giving you money for a key tag. All they leave with is a key tag. Yeah. They don't leave with anything. They don't take any piece of the gym with them. The only thing especially when you sell personal training. Yeah. When you sell personal training, the only thing you're selling is an idea of what they could end up looking like. So it's the same thing applies here. You're selling an idea of what their financial future could look like. And in this same example, the only thing you're giving them back is a piece of paper and an idea of a better future of what their life is going to look like and how you can help them reset, depending on where their situation is, reset tons of, levels of family poverty or reset their life to help them get into a better financial situation, whatever it's going to look like, man. Yeah. And once you allow them to paint that picture and you're in that journey with them, it's kind of, the product sells itself. You don't have to sell. They just take it. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think having a product like that, so insurance, our normal life insurance persistency is like 70%. Yeah. IUL's closer to 90%, 88, 90%, somewhere in that. That's probably what yours is too, right? Somewhere right in that ballpark. It's around 95 to 98. 95, 98%. Like the reason I think is like
life insurance is great because if you die, your family gets it. Very selfless. But IUL, like, okay, it has a life insurance aspect, so that's good. Puts you at 70%. You get that extra 20% because if you ever get sick, you can use it, and then you can use it for retirement. So now it's like, I love my family, but I also love me too, you know? And I want to have some money to retire off of. And I think people see that, and when they go to cancel something, they're like, they're less likely to cancel something that will pay their family a death benefit when they die. If they get sick, they can use it. And then when they retire, they have extra money coming in tax-free. They're like, I'm not canceling that.
No, well, it's big, though, too, because the majority of time that we saw, like, chargebacks come in seasons. I don't know if you know that, right? I know you know that, right?
Christmas time,
dude, do I want to, but it's all, it's the same motive, right? Like, they care about their mom, dad, sister, cousin, brother, aunt, uncle, or whatever, right? They want to get them something for Christmas because it's traditionalism, right? Is what it is. Or when summertime comes around, people want to take those vacations. They want to go out and do this, that, and the other, and they're like, oh, well, maybe I don't pay that life insurance policy because they're going to get that when I die. That's fine, but I want to do something now. Whenever you paint the picture of giving them the flexibility, say, hey, look, you can do both. They want to keep that policy because now they have something that's tying them to keeping that thing open.
And if it comes Christmas time, they can, and they need to do it, they can drop the minimum to the minimum premium for a few months, keep it in force, and then raise it back up when they're done with it, you know? So, Preston, 3 years in the business. The first couple years, you were kind of up, down, liked it. You're like, I don't know about this business. I think I like it. Like we talked about before this, there was some self-doubt about being in business. What do you think the biggest shift was? Just changing the product you were selling to something you believed in more? Or why did the shift to IUL and virtual sales get you from where you were selling 15, 20 grand a month before, to 35, 40, 50 now?
Well, what it is that the doubt came from myself. Because, you know, we have our highs and we have our lows. And the highs are real high, but the lows are really low. And sometimes those lows really impact you and have you start second guessing yourself. That's kind of the pitfall that I fell into. With the IULs, I didn't know that much about the IULs until I started talking to Daniel more and did some more digging. The IULs are, by themselves, are a phenomenal product. Now, there's a lot of pushback out there because there are IULs that are poorly written. Now, when I speak to clients, I tell them that. I let them know, listen, the IUL is not going to make or break you. It's the agent that writes the IUL that will make or break this policy for you. So I'm going to show you what I mean. Part of my success with this has been my honesty and transparency. All right. Number one, keep it simple. I use the KISS theory all the time. Keep it simple. Do not throw facts and figures at them that are going to confuse and fluster them. Number two, show them what a properly illustrated or properly built IUL looks like versus one improperly built. So when I get them on the Zoom call, I show them both. And that gives them that feeling of, you know what, this guy's not trying to mess with me.
I like that.
He's trying to take care of me as opposed to take care of his commission.
So you show one with a big death benefit and then you show the other way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I show them, and sometimes the question comes out, well, what's your commission in this? Well, let me show you the differences between those two as well. And it's right there in black and white on the screen for them. So what I'll typically do is I'll say, if you ever see an illustration done by anybody else that has your cash value with numerous zeros for the first 4 or 5 years, I say run the hell away. Okay, run away, run fast. This is what it's supposed to look like. And then they see that and see my sincerity with presenting that, they're more inclined to jump on it. And that's where I get my success from with this. Now that I'm seeing that, I love it. Because I'm helping them. They're seeing how genuine I am with the process, and it's something that's going to benefit them in the long run. I tell them simply this. I would rather have a client that's happy with a product that will tell their friends and so on and so forth, as opposed to a client that gets a policy that's poorly written, successful for me temporarily, but then they're pissed off at me down the road and they call their friends and say, Preston sucks.
Don't use Preston.
Don't work with him. Don't work with the Core Values Insurance Group because they suck. I'd rather have the first because that's to me, that's how you build a successful book of business.
He's already gotten some referrals from that too.
That's what I was going to ask. So like I think the nice thing about IULs is it's a really great referral tool, right? It's great because you can go for a few reasons. Like if they're older and they don't qualify, you can always get a spouse or someone else covered if they're doing it for cash value. But what I learned because when we first started messing with IULs, I got back in the field and sold, or not in the field, but virtually sold for a few months. This is probably 2 years ago. And I realized I was like, hey, even you're older now, you can't qualify. Would you mind if I talk to your kids and then your kids about their grandkids and educate them how this stuff works so they can get it early on too? And so like I always turn the DNQs into policies on kids, grandkids. I'm like, hey, if we do this on your 2-year-old now, they're gonna pay $200 a month, and by the time they're 50, and these are not exact number, by the time they're 50, there's gonna be $3 million of cash value in there. and they're never have to qualify for life insurance again. You know, they're gonna have this much insurance on top of that too. What are some of the things you do to get referrals from people? Like, how do you ask for it? Do you just straight up ask them, or what does that sound like after you close someone? How you get multiple referrals from that?
Typically, when I close a policy, I'll ask them flat out, listen, do you think there's somebody else that might be able to benefit from getting something like this? Because as you can see, I'm not promising you anything. I'm not guaranteeing you anything, but you see what it can possibly look like.
Yeah.
Is there somebody else out there that I might be able to impact the same way?
Yeah.
And they'll say yes or no. Like before we walked in here today, I got a phone call from a gentleman that was denied earlier, but now he wants to get one with his daughter.
Yeah.
So we're going to work that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like I believe in the thought process of you get more with honey than you do vinegar. You know, so sweeten them up a little bit. Don't be honest about it. And be real about it. But at the same time, find out how you can help other people the way you helped that particular client.
Right.
That's all. I just come out with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the nice part is if you find people that like and understand the product, they probably have other friends that will like and understand it too. Cause you're kind of the average of, if you hang out with 5 crackheads, you'll probably be the 6th, right? Hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll probably be the 6th.
Yeah.
I think that quote is written differently. That's just my version of it, the crackhead part of it. But I think it holds true. Like whether you're in business or whether you're, selling people, they'll have friends that appreciate the same things that they appreciate, you know? And I think people love, like you have an 18-year-old, we talked about, I have a 2.5-year-old, and people love their kids. Yeah. And I realized that when I had kids and when I was selling, I was like, oh, even if you don't want to buy, like we could show you what $200 a month will do for your kid. Right. And they'll buy that for their kids all day long. It's like, oh, I could set my kids up for the future, like leave them a really cool legacy. Use this as an alternative to a 529 plan or, something along those lines. Right. And I think especially that's a great angle nowadays with colleges. I think college is great, but I think, unless you plan to go like into a professional school or something like that, or like be an engineer, like if you're just going to business school, you could learn more about business not going to business school, right? So for my daughter, if she's like, I want to go to business school, I'd be like, hey, I'll teach you business, and here's your $300,000 from your IUL that you can use to help fund your business. Like let's actually do business. Let's not go learn from someone who never was in business before. Right. Talk about business. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What about this business with you're married, you have a daughter. How has it impacted the way your family operates at all? Going from being in the military to now, it's very different. Like military is the same thing every single day for 22 years. Right. Now you're independent contractor. What was that transition like, and how's it changed anything with kind of?
It was hard at first because one of the pitfalls that people fall into when they do this independent contracting is they are the master of their own schedules. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah. Okay. For me, I'll admit it wasn't the best thing at first because because I figured, oh, you know what, I can start whenever and stop whenever and go back, and it gets a little dicey. Yeah. But after a while, once you start to reestablish that discipline that I once had in the military and apply it to this, it was interesting because I don't think that my family adjusted as well as I did. Yeah. So they were used to me being available 24/7 all day, and I have appointments going on with talking to people, and I got folks walking into my office. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah. you can't be doing that, or I'll hear Preston, and I'm like, dude, I'm on the phone. Yeah. So there was some learning curves with that when I got serious about it again. Yeah. There were some learning curves, and but they've adjusted well. Yeah. They understand listen, there's an end game here. All right, I have my eyes on a certain prize, and they understand that. My daughter, maybe not so much because she wants now. Yeah. Including attention. Yeah. But I'm gonna listen, baby. Daddy's taking care of, not daddy, but Pops is taking care of business. Yeah. You don't understand right now, but later on you will. Yeah. And you'll say thank you. Yeah.
It's a cool example to set for her too, right?
Yeah. So. And I told her, I said, listen, you know what? Maybe you'll do this too when you're done with your vet tech program. Maybe you'll say, oh, forget that. Let's do the insurance thing. She's like, yeah, no. Nope. I said, you know what?
It's always
never,
a no
never
until.
Say never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my friends' business is in business for a long time, and his son always like, I'll never be in insurance. I'll never be in insurance. I've known him for 8 years, and then he got his license a couple months ago. His son did. He's 21 now, and he sold like 20 grand his first month. He was like, this business is awesome. I'm like, and I kept, every time I saw him, I'm like, you still gonna keep doing whatever you're doing, not making any money? You see how much money your dad makes. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And I just, eventually I think none of us wanted to be in insurance when we were kids, but the vehicle that we have is pretty amazing, where it allows you to have a lot of flexibility with your family, allows you, if you want to work 100 hours a week. And I was telling someone this recently, they're like, well, how do you recruit people? Is it always about money? I'm like, no, it depends on the person. Like my conversation with you probably wouldn't be like, how do you want to make, like, I'm sure you'd love to make $5 million a year, but that's not the first thing. It's like, how do we have a good work-life balance where you can spend time with your family, make good money, but be able to see your daughter?
Right.
When I was 22 years old, I could work 80 hours a week because I had nothing else to do, you know? And so I think those are different. The vehicle is great because it's flexible depending on where you're at in your life, you know?
Absolutely.
Like you're going to be getting married now, probably have kids. It's like you'll be able to design it around that to where you can spend a lot of time with your kids and be productive with work. Like my schedule now, I wake up at 5 in the morning, I work out from like 5 to 7, and I spend time with my kids from 7 till 8, and then I come to the office. I usually get to the office by 8:30. I get home at 5, I put my phone down till 7, 7:38, whenever they go to bed, and then I finish working from like 8 to 10 at nighttime. But it's like that's because I want to work a lot, but I also am going to spend quality time with my kids when I'm able to.
Right.
And that's what the business allows you to do.
I was going to say, that's the thing about this thing, dude. It's so fluid.
Yeah.
You can make this whatever you want it to.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, we're in business together, but you're not breathing down my neck about how I need to do this, that, and the other. Same thing with you. Like, we don't have those conversations. You get to do what you need to do and you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you call it? We're an army of volunteer soldiers or something like that.
Yeah, volunteer army. Yeah.
Volunteer army. Yeah. But, like, it gets to be whatever you want it to be. Like, what you mentioned earlier, I got to do, 15, 20 some odd hours a week at the church. And I'm like, okay, cool. Where else do you get to do that? You know? But it was because I wanted to. Did I get paid for that?
You didn't have a boss. You didn't have someone tell you yes or no. You didn't have to ask permission. Yeah. You know, I think that's that's freedom, right?
Yeah. Like somebody could hit me up and just like, hey, I need to go do this. Can you help me out? I'm like, yeah,
sounds good.
I actually can.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Hey, I need you here. We got rehearsal, this, that, and the other. Can you do it? I'm like, yeah. Yep. Okay. And it's actually kind of how I ended up meeting her. She's like, hey, I don't have much time. I'm going down this way. I'm like, okay, I can go.
I'll go. Yeah.
Yeah. So
worked out.
Heck yeah, it did. Absolutely it did. But no, it's just fluid. Like, you know, like I think it was like Sean or you, one of you guys made a joke. It's like, you don't have to ask your boss to go use the bathroom whenever you're doing this thing. You know? Like, you don't have to ask for breaks to go on vacation or whatever.
Right.
You asked us to come down here and we're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Why not? Let's do it.
But you can make it whatever you want it to, as long as you have that, I would call it discipline, but you have that mindset of just knowing what you got to get done, you got to get done. You have your numbers, you hit your numbers for the week, and you're fine.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, guys, thank you so much for coming in. This has been great, and I appreciate y'all and look forward to keep working with you and help grow this thing.